panelists. That was amazing. I love to see that innovation. Next up, we have a case study on the path to commercialization with this Shyam Natarajan from Avenda Health. Shyam and Amir, if you could turn on your microphones and videos, please. Moderating the fireside chat is Amir Naiberg, CEO and ABC of TDG, and my fearless leader. If you want to take it away, Amir.
Thank you, Tina. I have to be fearless in order to be your boss, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Shyam, nice to see you again. So I want to start by congratulating you. I mean, Avenda Health just reached a major milestone late last year. You received FDA approval. So before we speak about what it means for a company to receive the approval, can you give us, and explain to us what does your technology exactly does, right? In this conference is all about cool technologies, and your technology is not only cool, but also helps save people's lives.
Well, thank you, Amir, and thank you to TDG for putting on this event. I'm Shyam Natarajan. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of Avenda Health. And what we're trying to do is create a new type of prostate cancer therapy that changes the entire standard of care from whole gland therapy to a male lumpectomy. So really, we're trying to do to create a new therapy similar to how breast cancer was changed about 40 years ago from whole gland to partial gland therapy. We're doing the same thing for prostate cancer. This is 1 in 8 men that have a risk of getting this disease. And our solution really is a office-based therapeutic that can be performed under local anesthesia that specifically maps out a patient's tumor and targets it specifically.
So, I was fortunate enough before COVID to come and visit and see the system actually working. But you told me that one of the perhaps unique features of your path was the fact that you rely heavily on AI. And how did you convince the FDA that AI can be used in a clinical setting for the treatment of cancer?
That's a great question. So I want to be clear that we have received FDA clearance on one aspect of our technology. We're on the path to building sort of a whole solution for prostate cancer, but we're sort of on our journey there. We use AI to map out a patient's own unique features of where their prostate cancer is. And so the challenge with cancer therapy today in the prostate is that we can map out a patient's cancer from a diagnostic perspective, but those insights aren't really being used to inform treatment decisions. And so what we are doing is using existing vast pools of underutilized clinical data and basically putting them together in a machine learning approach to give the urologist, who's effectively a surgeon, sort of a heads-up display on where to go and what to treat.
And so, talk to me a little bit about your path to getting the FDA clearance, because we know in this conference today we'll hear a lot about AI and data and how it affects standard of care. How did you, or what is your plan to get the FDA to endorse this type of activity?
Yeah, so we actually approached the FDA, about 6 or 7 years ago, even prior to the start of Avenda Health. We've engaged with the agency, every year, really on our development path as we translated this and spun this technology out of UCLA, really getting them to buy into not only our approach to treating prostate cancer, but all of the new sort of technologies that we're putting into this. And so really for us, what we did was very early on, brought the FDA together, different sort of agencies within the FDA, the urology division, the software review group, as well as private payers, because we know that with AI, with new technology, it's not so much just getting the FDA clearance or approval, it's making sure that payers are willing to pay for this. And so we got all of them in the room together and sort of got them to agree on our development path moving forward.
So tell me a little bit about your team. It sounds like you have a really multidisciplinary team, right? You need a laser expertise, you need to come from the surgeon's point of view and the software side. How did you build this team?
Yeah, great question. So, I'm an engineer by training. I've done some work on the translation commercialization side, when I was at the university with other sort of faculty members. But really, what makes our team unique and special is that we have expertise from the clinical aspects with my co-founder, Dr. Lenny Marks, expertise from regulatory and quality. We have a great group that we work with, the Experian group. And then my co-founder, Britt Berry-Pusey, is coming from a long experience in the medical device and the pharmaceutical world from a business development point of view. So we're sort of putting all the pieces together, recognizing that medical device development is sort of a team sport. And so putting those pieces together with bringing some of the world's experts in this type of artificial intelligence application to urological diseases. So we've got a great software team, great hardware team, and I think we have all the right stuff.
That's great. But by the way, I see we have more than 150 people listening in right now. So if people have questions, please use the chat or Q&A function at the bottom of your screen, and Dina will send those questions our way at real time. So I'd like to take now a few steps back to the early days of Avenda Health, and perhaps to your career personally. How do you combine the world of research that you came from and being an active CEO of a company? How were you able to combine or make these two activities work together?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Silicon Valley, the headquarters of Apple, sort of growing up around startups and technology development my whole life. Came to UCLA to really pursue my passion, which was to develop new technology to help patients to affect clinical care. And so really dedicated my research career to this problem of prostate cancer treatment, but with an eye towards, the technology development doesn't just stop at, getting an NIH grant or doing one clinical trial or getting sort of a experimental development procedure, done. It's really, how do you translate innovation to benefit public good? How do you make sure that what we're working on in the university then goes and benefits the hundreds of thousands of men that are diagnosed with this disease every year? And that's really where we really saw the next step in sort of getting this technology out of the university. It really needed to be commercialized. It really needed to be developed, even though this is a disease state, and this is, we're talking about artificial intelligence, robotics, cancer. It's a very big problem. But I think for me personally, I'm very excited, especially seeing all of the innovation happening in the medical device industry, to sort of take the leap out of the university and focus on this full time.
That's great. But I can imagine that without the university involvement, especially in the early days, nothing would have come to life, right? So how important was the involvement of being part of the UCLA community, at least at the early days of the company?
Yeah, so I think it was sort of required for the type of problem that we're working on, in terms of working on a problem that has not really been changed in terms of solutions for about 40 years. And so research takes time. We've been working on the core technology for Avenda Health for about a decade. It's gone through, 3 different full cycle NIH grants. It's gone through about 3 separate clinical studies prior to launching Avenda Health. And it sort of required that long development time to making sure that the technology that we bring to the market really is developed with sort of the best in class type of approach.
So what are your future plans? You mentioned that 1 of 8 males will suffer from prostate cancer. What's your go-to-market strategy?
Yeah, so we are cleared today for treating soft tissue ablation in an office setting. And so we are about to start our commercialization activities. And, we are doing this in sort of a methodical rollout. to about 3 or 4 clinics, and then rolling it out to a larger community of about 20 or 30 sites nationwide, to sort of test this against the standard of care to get reimbursement and get to that next level.
So we have a question from the audience, but what are the hurdles for adoption by surgeons of new technology like this?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think urologists in particular are known for being sort of gadget oriented. They love trying out new technologies, and every one of them has an iPhone, it seems like, and so they look at new technologies and ask, why isn't this like my iPhone? So I think one of the biggest hurdles is really workflow, really not understanding it's not just the episode of care that we're trying to change, but we're trying to change the clinical care pathway to make it simple, to make sure that patients, when they enter into this care pathway, there's no friction for a physician to adopt the procedure and for the patient to get the maximal benefit in terms of outcomes from the procedure. And so for us, we built this technology really with the urologist in mind. And from a very early sort of development standpoint, solicited feedback on an ongoing basis. This is almost like with software development, you want to sort of launch and do A/B testing and fail fast. Similar in the medical device development process when you're in sort of the R&D phase.
So, we have a good number of investors in the audience. Hopefully some of them are listening right now. Are you fundraising? Are you planning to fundraise in order to upscale your activity?
Yes, we are kicking off a raise right now to start our commercialization activities. Again, I mentioned we have a number of sites that are interested and ready to go. And so we're raising for capital to be able to support those sites and to be able to start our path to changing the standard of care.
So we have another question from the audience. If you can elaborate on what exactly the AI modules do.
Yeah, so today, patients diagnosed with prostate cancer typically get imaging. They get an MRI, but the MRI really just tells you sort of a hot spot of where the cancer is. It doesn't tell you where the margins are, which is so important in oncology. And what we do is we take that imaging information that is already collected. We take pathology data, basically the biopsy cores that is also already collected. So this is data that is sort of sitting around, not being leveraged for therapeutic decisions. And we put both of those pieces together to map out exactly where the cancer is within the prostate. So again, we're trying to move away from the surgery and the radiation therapy that causes a 50% chance of a man to lose his quality of life. And so what we're trying to do is create this lumpectomy to preserve that quality of life. And in order to do so, we need to see exactly where inside of the prostate we need to treat.
So if someone is now convinced that your solution is best in class, will save his quality of life, when can we or someone expect to be enrolled in a trial or some other treatment using Avenda Health device?
Yeah, so we are starting another sort of small clinical series later this summer. So I would say that we have an active trial that just completed enrollment, and likely we're going to be adding on to that with a couple other sites. So I would say check out our website, avendahealth.com, and stay tuned if you're interested in looking out for these types of therapies.
It's always a good question to ask someone like you. We have many inspiring entrepreneurs who are now in the audience, who are thinking about starting the process you started, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago. Any advice for them?
Yeah, I would say that if you're at UCLA, you have this unique opportunity where the engineering school is right across the street from the medical school. And so, if you're at the university, in an academic capacity, I would say seek out folks that have different skill sets from you. And that's really how, innovation happens. In terms of, what I would have done differently, if at an earlier stage of my career, I would say that in order for me to, for our whole team to sort of get going on this technology, it really took sort of a full-time type of commitment. And so I would say that trying to moonlight in trying to do 5 different things really doesn't serve anybody. If you believe in the idea, if you're committed, go for it.
And I see Dina with the voice of God telling us we have to finish.
2-minute warning.
Okay. I think we're about done. So Shyam, last question. I think you're part of our demo track. So if people want to come and chat with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so I'm on the partnering platform. Come check out our demo at 3 p.m. today as part of the demo track. My co-founder, Dr. Britt Berry-Pusey, is going to be presenting. And, my contact information is through the partnering platform. So we're happy to, reach out and have a chat. Excellent.
Thank you very much for your time. I know I'll join the demo track. I'm sure many others will do the same. Dina, back to you.